Well, hello, hello, hello. I am hoping that you all are having a good day so far, having a good week. There's lots going on. You see, I'm sitting outside my home today. It's a beautiful autumn day. Check it out. It's my shed. Some call it a she shed, but there's nothing really in there. This is my backyard. The leaves are changing. The leaves are falling. Beautiful day. It's really a beautiful day out. And so I wanted to talk today. I don't know if you remember the last time we talked about the relationship between spirituality and personal development. One of the things I talked about was affirmations and why, why affirmations sometimes don't work. And I said that I was going to do a whole live on it. So I wanted to do a quick primer on that today. Now, there are some very specific things. If you're a person who does affirmations or who believes in affirmations, who believes in the law of attraction, there are some things that make affirmations really powerful, and there are some things that actually make them dead, if you will. And one of those things is how you language it, and the other is what is behind the affirmation. Like, what is not so much the intention, but the emotion and the mind space behind it. So you all know that's my whole thing is mindset and is the unconscious mind and all of the internal conversations that can disempower us and can stand in the way of us living at our full potential and attracting exactly what we want in our lives, right? So what I want to talk about today is what is it that makes affirmations work and what is it that doesn't. So the first thing is how you language it, right? Now, a lot of times people will language affirmations in the form of I want, or, or want or desire or trying. And, that is a very passive way to language an affirmation. Other people also language it in the future, like I will. And the most powerful way to language an affirmation is in the present, as if right now. So it is now and I am. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with SMART goals. SMART is being specific, measurable, action-oriented, relevant, and in time. So another languaging is how specific are those affirmations, right? Sometimes we make affirmations very general, like I am making more money or I have the relationship of my dreams. But here's the thing. If you do not get very specific about what you want, then what will turn up will be vagueness. And sometimes what will turn up will be nothing. Right? You might say, you want to make more money, but $1 more than you're making is more money, right? You may say you want to make a specific amount of money, but if you don't put a time, a buy when on that, then again, you are not, you're giving the universe a very confused signal of when that could be. You could say, well, I want to be a millionaire. I want to make $1 million. You can make $1 million over the course of 10 years. As opposed to, it is now X date and I am excited to be making $1 million a year. That's very specific. All right. So when you're languaging your affirmations, you want to make sure that you language them in a SMART format, specific, measurable, action oriented and relevant. And of course, in time. And that will make them more powerful. And you want to language them in the present. And how you language in the present, how it sounds, it is something like it is now the date, the time part of your SMART goal. It is now X date, and I am enjoying, or I am happy, or I am making, or I have in the present tense. And that's one of the most powerful ways to language an affirmation, right? If you're languaging in the future, you're leaving an open loop, so to speak. And that's sort of an NLP term, an open loop. Because you want to close the loop and you want to create that very specific time. Now, the other thing, and probably the most important thing that gets in the way of having an affirmation be realized in real time. And it's interesting because people call them affirmations, but I call them declarations. Because if you think about the difference between affirming and declaring, you can just think that declaring is even more powerful, because when you declare something, it is so. It is just so. It's just the way it is, right? It's like, and so when you declare something, it's a lot more powerful than affirming affirming is almost like I'm affirming that it will be. And while it's powerful, there still is room for doubt. And that is the thing that kills an affirmation or a declaration, right? Is that room for doubt. Whenever you are creating something in your life and you're affirming it or you're declaring it, one of the biggest things that gets in the way is that little bit of self-doubt in the background, that can potentially block what we call block your blessings. You've heard of that, I'm sure. What it does is when you affirm something, when you declare something with full 100% belief and knowing, like beyond belief, but knowing, then what happens is this little reticular activating system in your brain, it's a part of your brain, that does everything in its power to see and look and create the world outside of you to match what you've declared or affirmed. And so when you have a doubt, then that impacts that reticular activating system. It impacts the internal representation, the internal image that you're building for this thing that you've created. And so it's very, very important that when you're creating things in your life and you're declaring them or affirming them or however you want to call it, right? I prefer declare. I use affirmation in lives and public because I think it's the thing that most people understand. They understand affirmations. But when you declare something, when you create and declare something is going to happen in the future or something is happening and it is that date and it's happening now, when you declare that, there has to be the space of such flatness in knowing that there's nothing else but that can happen. That makes sense? That makes sense. You can type in the chat box. That makes sense, right? That is what I want you to practice is and this is why having the conscious use of language is so important in our lives, because a lot of times we're speaking and we don't know the kind of what we're creating in our lives by unintentional speaking, by negating ourselves and contradicting ourselves when we're not conscious of what we're saying, by disempowering ourselves. And it's just so important that we begin to really become conscious of our speaking, because in truth, when you speak, you're giving, unbeknownst to you and now known to you, you're giving your unconscious mind a command, right? So when you say, I can't afford, you're giving your unconscious mind an internal picture for it to then create in the world. You understand? And so when you begin to have a more conscious use of your language, then your creation is much more powerful. And I say creation because we are all co-creators here with the universe. Well, we talked about spirituality and personal development, but if you really get who you are, then we're co-creating the world as we move along. And the only way to be able to do that is to be able to have that internal connection with the unconscious mind, with the higher self, and to be able to eliminate all of those negative emotions and limiting beliefs and decisions and internal conflict that may be happening inside of you that can clog the mind's internal image of what you want to create, that can distort it, right? And so that is why I do what I do. That's why I teach NLP. That's why I teach hypnotic language. That's why I teach creating your future techniques, is because it is very important to me, not only for myself, not only for my son, but for my community, for my community to learn how to begin to use language more consciously and more powerfully to be able to create for yourself, so that we can then become unified and create in community and expand and create more impactful and large scale change and transformation in the world, right? So if you are, if you're with me on that, go ahead and type that in the chat box, because that is the most powerful place to be. That's the most powerful place to be, is behind the wheel, at the source of your life, right? And so the question I now have for you is, knowing what you know, and you can type this in the chat box right now because I want to see it. Knowing what you know, what are you now going to do? What are you now going to create? How will you begin to reframe your speaking? How will you begin to be more conscious of your speaking? And you know, your speaking comes from your thought, right? Your speaking comes from your thought. So you want to be not only mindful of your speaking, but when you catch yourself in that disempowered conversation, you then want to examine, well, where is that coming from? You want to examine your thinking. And then as you examine your thinking, begin to dig deeper and dig deeper. Because when you begin to uncover what is behind the disempowering conversations that are actually behind those negative things that might be coming out of your life, those not so powerful things that might be coming out of your mouth, when you begin to dig deep and examine and get that, then that is when you will gain the most power in your life. That's when you really are taking the driver's seat and you have the power to do something more. You have the power to do something more and to transform whatever it is that's in the way of you being your best self and living the highest place in your life, living from the highest place in your life. All right. So I'm gonna download this to IGTV. So for those of you who joined a little bit late, thank you so much for joining. You can watch the whole thing again. I'll go ahead and download this to IGTV, and you know that if you want to get a little bit more information on how you can learn the conscious use of language, how you can learn NLP, how you can learn persuasive language, then you can reach out to me just by messaging me directly. You're so welcome, Mental Health. Thank you for joining me today. You can always message me directly. If you want to join a community where this conversation is taking place, just go to mindremappingnation.com, links in the bio. And if you really think that you are wanting to learn this information, we do have applications open for the next class of the Mind Remapping Mastery training course. It's an NLP, hypnosis training, and Create Your Future Techniques training that's starting in the winter. So if you think, oh, you know what, I think I want to learn this, message me and I'll tell you all about it. Click the link, Mind Remapping Nation, to join the community, and I will definitely be seeing you later this week. We got more conversation to be having. I love having conversations with you all. You guys are so, so great. And so thank you for joining me. You have an amazing rest of the day. If you are having the kind of brisk and beautiful weather that I'm having, and you're seeing all these trees, and then just go outside today. Go outside and take a look at the beauty and allow yourself to be drawn in and connected to all that this is, because it is just amazing, isn't it? You know, we're behind our desks all day, and some of us working from home, some of us inside, we're social distancing, and we're doing all of that. And then there's this. So with that, I'm going to sign off. And for those of you who joined late, thanks for joining. Just go ahead and click IGTV and you'll be able to see the whole thing. All right? Mwah. You guys have a great rest of the day. I'll see you on Thursday, or maybe before if I get a message I want to send you guys. Okay, bye.